This is the Dryer Drive podcast, a podcast all about siblings and the people, places, and pop culture that raised us. In today's episode, we will kick things off with a story from Jacqueline and her pledge to take up arms and defend the United States of America. We'll talk a little bit about our family's iconic approach to home decor when we were kids, and then we'll dive into today's main topic, which is all about mall culture of the 1990s. And of course, we'll then wrap up this episode the same way we wrap up every episode on the Dryer Drive podcast with an unhinged text message from a family member. And this week's unhinged text message comes on Jonathan's birthday last year from our older brother. Let's get into this. If there was a drinking game for Dryer Drive, I would say, okay, I would never say do it when we say the word like take a shot when we say the word like, you'll die. Like 7 minutes in, you would be dead. Hospital would have to be called. The coroner's office would have to come and collect the body. But mine is, let's just call a spade a spade. I don't know where I picked that up. I've said it in every single episode. Like, well, we're just calling a spade a spade. And, you have one where you say, truly the something, like fill in the blank, truly the whatever.
I do notice that I say 100% a lot, like, oh, 100%, 100%.
Me,
like,
I do absolutely. I do absolutely. But for catchphrases, I think in just about every episode as well, you have mentioned ships passing in the night, which is... I have no idea where you got that one from. Like, I obviously know where you got that from, but to use it to the extent that you use it, you'll be like, we were just two ships passing in the night. You use it all the time, as well as a real loose ship, I think is another.
Oh yeah, I do. I like to say that we run a real loose ship.
Exeter was running a real loose ship. 26 Dryer was a real loose ship. The Menendez brothers' parents ran a real loose ship. Did they though?
So apt for all of our lives. It's just one really loose ship. It's two ships that pass in the night, but one of them's
really loose. One of them's a really tight ship. The other one's a really loose ship.
And I'm not on that tight ship, sadly.
I'll tell you this right now. My expectations for today are very low.
Oh, good.
It's just the way I like to start my days. I wake up. Some people do daily affirmations. Some people do gratitude exercises. I start the day with really low expectations, and this podcast is fitting right in there. Sometimes I try to get a workout in the morning before we record an episode, or I try to do some activity that like really energizes me. My activity today was going to City Hall to renew my health insurance, national health insurance, and my... It's called the My Number card. So I guess it would be like your social security card, because I just renewed my visa to stay in Japan for another 3 years. I got a 3-year visa this time. But it was funny because I was reading on Reddit to try to prepare myself for all of the things that I need to get for my application. And you would think it's like you just go in and you're like, yeah, I'm still married to her. Nothing else has changed. So you can just give me a new card. No, you have to like reapply. You have to resubmit bank statements. You have to show that you've been paying your taxes. You have to do a bunch of stuff. So I was reading about people who have had really negative experiences at Japanese city halls, or not city hall, Japanese immigration offices. Notoriously like bureaucratic, like notoriously paperwork heavy. You have to like mail things in or physically go and drop it off. And I did all my paperwork. I dropped it off. And then 2 days later, I got a letter that said, hey, can you please prove that you've been paying into the national pension system? And I was like, excuse you? The national what now?
Cannot.
the what now? And so pure panic. They're like, again, please let us know in the next 36 minutes. It was like the next few days I had to prove. So I had to go to the pension office. But in the meantime, I'm reading on Reddit how other people have like, did you get the visa? Did they kick you out of the country? Because I make that up in my head. Like, they're going to come and collect me right now. They're going to put me on one of those cargo airplanes that I've seen in the movies. They're going to send me back to Canada and my family will
cargo airplane.
Yeah.
All because I didn't know what a pension was.
Yeah. Well, I know what it is. I went to Exeter. Come on. I went to Exeter High School. There is a unit on it. Anyways, I was reading people on Reddit and like how they dealt with it, and people had these accounts where they would go to the immigration office. They're like, sorry, like I didn't receive the paperwork in the mail to set up my pension system. And the immigration office made them write a sorry letter, like on the spot. Like, here's a paper, here's a piece of paper, here's your pen, write a sorry letter and let us know that you'll never do this again. And people like
polite.
Polite? How?
I don't know that, like,
How
like
patronizing.
Honestly, I think we should all formally apologize to each other more. Like, as a society, formal apologies, I think, should be worked in more often than not.
Well, we're in the land of, like, I live in the land of apologizing. Like, Japan is just, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorrier. No, I'm more sorry. No, I'm the most sorry. No, I'm sorry. Look at my head's touching the ground. No, look at my face is touching the ground. Look, my whole body's. But so anyways, I went in and I'm like, yeah, I didn't know. I never received the paperwork, but here I paid it all up. And they're like, okay, now can you please tell us why you didn't pay? I'm like, please refer to what I just said. I didn't know that I didn't know that I had to. Like, I'm running my own sole proprietor business out here. So I didn't know. And the guy looks at me and like takes like a really long pause and was like, okay. And then just took it, left. 2 days later, I got my card and I'm all good now.
But it has a mark on it for not understanding. Yeah. I think it's funny that they make you just like give your like extremely subjective reasons, and then an extremely subjective person like accepts that reasoning and then decides what to do with it. Like, there's no process to be like, this is a good reason and this is a bad reason. It's just like, I'd like to know personally. Like, it's not even going through the paperwork. Like, tell me, like, how do you feel like you did on this test?
That's exactly. What grade do you think you should get?
Worst.
100? Like, I'll take 100. If you're asking me, I think I definitely did a lot of work here to get 100. But I always kind of like, especially when you go into a place and they ask you a question, you respond and they write something down. Then they ask you another question and then they don't write anything down. You're like, whoa. Was that for you or was that for this examination that we're currently in? Like, did you just want to know that? They're like, all right, when's your wife's birthday? It's this date. What did you get her last year? This. He doesn't write that one down. And you're like, but are you just looking for ideas for yourself?
Like, I was curious when I did all of my immigration to stay here. The person who processed my green card 10 years later was the same person who gave me my immigration test, my citizenship test, which I think is probably pretty uncommon. And he remembered me. We had talked a little bit, and I like to think he remembered me. He's like, I'm going to pretend to remember you. No. We had made like a joke, and he like referenced the joke, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the same guy. It's this Russian man who was also an immigrant, and he works for the immigration services here. But I was so nervous when he was giving me my test, a test that I know that 60% of Americans probably couldn't pass on their own, yet I have to do it to become American.
I assume it's insane. Just impressions. I assume it's just impressions of presidents. So like, now do Trump. All right, do Obama.
So I got through the questions. I probably couldn't answer them now because all of that information has long exited my brain. But because I was so nervous, he put the paper down and I just started signing it. And he like started joking with me and he called me Homer Simpson because there's an episode of The Simpsons where Homer signed something without looking over the paperwork. And he was like literally in his Russian accent, which I'm not going to attempt to do. I can only do South African. Sorry, guys. But he was like, okay, Homer Simpson, calm down with the signature. And I was like, oh, like, what a weird experience this is all been.
Are you a crispy?
They're like, you can say. And then when I did the whole immigration process, as far as like getting my citizenship, there's a swearing in ceremony that you have to go be part of.
Lots of curse words.
Lots of curse. A lot of really American flavored patriotism that I was not comfortable with. And there's probably 50 people being sworn in at the same time. And the cool part is they had to stand up based on like the country so they could target us. No, they had to stand up based on what country we were from, just to show like, look at all these people all coming to America. It's their greatest dream. I'm like, okay. And I was sitting next to a man who is also from Canada. And so he and I were talking during the ceremony.
Small world.
Imagine.
World.
And we were talking, and part of the ceremony is like you raise your arm and you do this pledge that's different than the regular Pledge of Allegiance. It's
You
like
raise
the
your
pledge
hand, right? Because
yes.
the hand and the arm, I think, are probably.
Oh, sorry. It was just the elbow, actually.
Just the
It was weird. So, and part of it is that we pledge to raise arms against America's enemies. And then it says, and I do this without any, what's the word for it? Any objections or hesitation. And both the Canadian guy and me were like,
hesitated.
I'm like, no, I was like, are you like meaning this? He was like, oh, absolutely not. Like, I'm just saying the words. And I was like, okay, just making sure that like not all of us are meaning this. Like, I am not going to war for the United States of America. You heard it here first, folks. We do have an election coming up. It's not going to happen.
I can't wait for them to cash in on that, where they're looking at the list of people who made the explicit pledge, something that Americans themselves don't have to do because one day they just wake up and they're a newborn baby in America, right? But then the people coming in, they're like, you are the ones who will fight for America.
And also, like, of all the people that you want to fight for America, I don't know if Canadians, obviously it's happened in the past, but Canadians now are just, I feel like they're so aggressively neutral most of the time. And I don't know if like that's who you really want to go out fight for your country. I'm like, I'm good. Sorry. I don't want to be here either. That's how I fight.
I love aggressively neutral. They just stand their ground, right in the middle, agreeing with both sides.
Agree with both
aggressively.
Sides. Like, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings here, but I will aggressively not hurt anybody's feelings.
I will aggressively agree with you and also you on whatever you guys are going through.
Do you like confrontation?
In my brain, I'm fighting people 24 hours a day.
Okay.
In my brain, I'm like, I'm punching you in the face right now. You right there. And then they look at me. I'm like, I'm sorry, you go first. So I think when I was a little bit younger, I did kind of like confrontation. Like I would go almost out of my way to like stand my ground in a fast food restaurant. You know what I mean? Like just to like,
okay.
my food was cold. Like, of course it was. It was made by that guy back there. And he doesn't care about your food. Like that's now I think it has to be something that I really care about. For me to get confrontational, just like I'm tired all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
to look at somebody, and plus I'm also in a place where confrontation really
isn't a thing.
Really passive aggressive confrontation. No, I don't like confrontation. I don't trust myself in confrontation. I don't know where I'm going to go. Like
it's like how when I get mad, I just start crying and I'm like, why are you doing this to yourself? Like I have so many things I want to say and it just comes out in sobs. I'm like, I'm angry and I have great arguments. I've told you this before. If like Justin tries to end an argument too early, I'm like, I accept that you want to end this argument, but I still have some points that I need to hit before I can like rest. The only people I'm confrontational with truly is Justin and our mom. And other than that, I am the least confrontational. I hate confrontation. I will start sweating and crying no matter what, as tiny of as the confrontation could be. It could be a disagreement about fast food. It could be something. And I lay down so fast and give in to anybody.
What? Does Justin know? That is staying in. No, that's the intro for today.
No, how fun was today on Facebook where we talked to so many people who went to Exeter High with us.
I was so overjoyed.
No, it's just so nice.
People that we talked about this maybe 4 episodes ago, but we talked about like how people have reached out to us from the podcast and it's like, yes, like I totally like, yes, you're the person I wanted to hear this. That's how I felt about the Exeter one. Like people were reminding me of things. Mm-hmm. Like this guy, Scott, messaged me and he was like, we were so far ahead of our time. And he reminded me that we had a magnetic levitation track in one of our shop classes on the 2nd floor. One of the like projects for that class is you would make a magnetic levitation vehicle with this little fan on the back that would propel it across the magnetic levitation track with the magnets, flipped over so that they don't attract, but they push apart. And anyways, I was told like, yes, that. And then another one of my friends messaged me, and her message was hilarious. The comment on Facebook was like, the culinary school, they would make food for the teachers at lunch. So she said, the cooking class, we made meals for the teachers at lunch. I remember making a salad with mayo, butter, and sour cream and potatoes, and I was told to label it low-fat potato salad. And I imagine all the teachers in there on their Atkins diets going, what should I have? Oh, look at this low fat. And then 6 months later, they're at their Atkins group appointment and they're all weighing in, and all of the Exeter teachers are at the same, if not more weight than 6 months before. And then everyone's shaking their head. They're like, I don't know. I've been eating nothing but low fat potato salad daily.
In Mean Girls, when they're eating just the Caltine bars, like, all I've been eating is low-fat potato salad. Like, there's 700 calories in one spoon.
in one spoonful of this, you are getting your daily recommended intake of all the things.
And it probably wasn't even butter. It's probably margarine.
It's probably shortening.
I have not eaten margarine since I moved out of our house. As like, I became an adult and I was like, I will never eat margarine ever again. Oh, gosh. I had a friend message me on Instagram when I said, like, please tell me that Exeter was real. And she said, Exeter was the realest place we've ever been. Remember the day in the middle of winter when there was a weird smell? So we had to stand outside for an hour until they realized the shop teacher had circulated car fumes through the whole school, and then we got sent home. And I was like, you son of a gun, it's going in the episode.
And my favorite part about all of this is that with the spacing that we're going to have, this episode is like 6 episodes removed from the actual Exeter High School episode. So people are like, why? Are they just trying to get more people to listen from Exeter High School now? So
we're just on like just cresting the high of like having extra people listen to it because we said Exeter High. I told you the SEO is going wild.
Yeah, I was very delighted when I saw the messages coming through and the comments coming through, and just people like, remember Mr. Apple, and remember going outside, you'd be smoking butts. One of my buddies said, we'd go like at the back of shop smoking a butt, and like Mr. Apple would come around, he's like, are you guys smoking? And they'd be like, he's like, give me one. And he would smoke butts with them in the back of the shop. I'm like, yeah, that tracks.
Yeah. I aspire to be a Mr. Apple figure in someone else's life, truly.
Smoking butts in the back of a classroom when you were supposed to be educating them.
I'm 100% sure Mr. Apple was just like a plug and play wherever they didn't have a teacher. And it was like, have you ever taught ancient civilizations? No. Like, we just need a body in a classroom.
Well, he actually had a theory about the pyramids being built with magnetic levitation.
So really excited about that.
He was waiting for that call. They're like, we don't have anyone. He's like, I'll do it.
And they're like, Mr. Apple, we have claims that you've been teaching conspiracy theories to children.
Speaking of those types of tests, renewing visas, citizenship tests, all of that stuff. Speaking of that stuff, or having spoken of it, I guess is more accurate now that we're
circling back. We're
10 minutes removed. We're 10 minutes removed from that. Seiko and I have decided to try to put Noah. We've decided that we're going to try to get her into an international school out here. Kind of best of both worlds. Japanese education, along with a little bit of foreign education or international education. And the teachers are from all over the globe, which is kind of cool. And so we have to actually, we apply, obviously, but there's an intake test, I guess, that they call it an interview, but really they're trying to see if you're going to fit with their school system. And, they look at the kids. That sounds weird. They talk to the kids. They talk to the kids, and they also observe them in like a group environment just to see kind of like how things will work out. And so we've been practicing this with Noah nonstop. We're like, okay, we're going to go in and they're going to ask you your name, and they're going to ask you maybe like how old you are and maybe what things you like to do. So like, let's just get prepared. And then we find out that the first session, the first exam or whatever, the first interview is just the 3 of us sitting down. So we told Noah, we're like, all right, don't worry. All that stuff we practiced about what you like and, your favorite things and your age and your name and all that fun stuff, you're not going to have to do that. It's just going to be the 3 of us sitting in this interview together. And she was like, oh, like, this is great. I get to be with you guys. So we go to the school 2 days ago and we're waiting to be let in, and Noah's completely fine. She's like skipping, and we're playing games and we're talking about the statues on the campus. And the guy comes out and he's like, all right, like, you guys can come in now. So we go in and we see that there's 2 chairs at the interview table with like their 2 principals and a teacher. And then there's like a partition and this like colorful sign that says like kids room. And there's a teacher waiting there to be like welcoming Noah to take her away from us to then bring her to the kids room, which is totally unexpected. And Noah has been cursed with the Porter gene. When something doesn't go as planned, she's just like, excuse, no, none of this is
Short
okay.
circuits.
Yeah. And so we go in and I look at that right away. I'm like, frig, here we go. And the guy's like, no, you can come with me. And she's like, no. And I'm like, no, it's okay. You can go with him. We're going to be right here. You can hear daddy's voice. It's okay. She's like, no. I'm like, this is an interview. They are judging us right now. I'm like,
this is our one chance.
This is our one shot. Go. Oh, I didn't actually yell at her. I'm like, no, please. I start sweating. I'm like, no, please, just go over there. It's right there. They're going to have toys. And then Seiko's like, you know what? I'm going to bring her over there and I'll get her into the room and then I'll come back. So they go around the corner and I'm just like standing there, and the principal's like, oh, you can have a seat. So I sit down and I just hear what's going on in the other room. And I know there is no chance Seiko's returning without Noah. I hear them talking and I just hear Noah going, no, I want to be with mommy. No. I'm like, so this is much. Let me tell you about my daughter. She's really independent. We'll start with independence. She's really, she listens to her parents. That's one thing I can say about Noah. As they're asking the questions, it's exactly what I just talked about. Like, they're asking me questions and they're writing some things down, but then they're asking other questions and they're not writing it down. Right. So they're like, oh, like, so you came to Okinawa. How long have you been in Okinawa? I'm like, 2 years. And I'm like, and then they're like, why Okinawa? What brought you here? I'm like, well, you know, my wife from Japan, she's from Chiba, but we decided Okinawa is a better place for us because blah, blah, blah. They write it down and they're like, oh, what kind of things is Noah into? I'm like, oh, she does this. Like, and they're like, all right, cool. What do you do for work? And I tell them and they don't write it down. And I'm like, but no, that you can write that one down too. You can write it down.
Really cool. It's a cool job.
Cool job. They all look at each other. They're like, And then, so anyway, so like, I think it's time for us to have a chat with mom as well. And so Seiko comes out. Noah is not leaving her side. So we do the interview with Noah on Seiko's lap, and Noah will not even answer a question from them. And I hate that Instagram has ruined parenting for me, because there's like people who are like, you can never say that your child is shy. They just take time to warm up to strangers. And I'm like, but maybe they could also be shy. Like, I'm just saying. I don't know.
People are shy. Like, that's a factual thing about people.
Yeah, and maybe she's just maybe she won't warm up to you. So isn't that doing the exact same thing? Being like, no, it just takes her some time to warm up to people, doesn't it, Noah? Like, what? Can she just be shy today? Like, today, can she just be shy? So anyway, it's fine. It's going to be completely fine. But it was just funny that we like practice all this stuff. We go in, one thing is different, and the whole thing is off.
And it's off the rails completely. Well, the good news is I'm so glad that you came on and said like you have low expectations for today, because I also feel like expectations for today are low. Like, we're just really synced up here. It's not that like I was like, ooh, we're going to go in with a low effort topic. Oh, we need to do a question first. But let me say that it wasn't that it's a low effort topic. It's just like, I really want to talk about this thing. And it naturally lends itself more to like an Exeter format where it's not like super fact based. It's going to be more just like us talking about good times. My question is, okay, picture Dryer Drive. In Dryer Drive, what was your favorite decorated room? And I also would be interested to know, like, how does that inform the way that you style your spaces now? Is it similar? Is it different? What?
Seiko and I were just talking about this. So I'll answer the second half first. Seiko and I were just talking about this. We were saying, like, usually in a relationship, one person is kind of like into the decorating stuff. And the other person's like, yeah, do whatever you want. Right? Like, I don't know of any couples, and they're out there, I'm sure, but are like, I want it to be this. And the other one's like, are you crazy? I want it to be this. It's usually like, I think we should do this. And the other person's like, yeah, that's fine. Go ahead. We're like, what do you need? You need me to do it? Like, let's go ahead. Seiko and I are both, sure, go ahead people. which means
good.
you come to our house, you look around, you're like, well, these are very bare walls. There is not a single picture on the wall. There's not. Like, even in our, like, in this house, there's nothing. In our house in New Brunswick, there's nothing. And then in Toronto, I think we had like some like pictures from like when we were dating on the walls, and that was it. But like here, there is truly nothing on the there's nothing on the walls at all. So we were talking about, actually right now we're looking at property. We're looking at building a house early next year. And so we're like, all right, when we get that house, we need to make some kind of like
We're going to do it.
effort. And even if it's just like have like shelves like built in everywhere, so at least we can like leave stuff. I'm sure it'll just be mail. Our decoration will be mail. Unpaid
all that
bills.
paperwork you got to do in Japan.
Japan, yeah. Sorry notes that we've written to the different agencies for missing payments. So one, I don't think we have an informed decorating style. And if I go back, the clear winner for me is the living room. One, because of the transitions that it went through all the time. And in our family, Mom was the one who was like, I think we should do this. And then
she has strong opinions. They're strong.
And they change every 8 to 9 months. And they're not minor changes. And she would say, like, I think we should totally do this thing to this room. And then Dad would be like, oh, okay, I'll do it this weekend. Like, that was it. And Dad would do it. So Mom was the I think, and Dad was like the I'll do it. And I'm sure in other families, the roles were reversed, or there's other people who are making suggestions and people are like, yeah, sure, we can do that. Other people, just random strangers, the mailman. Hey, have you ever thought about painting this color? I'll do it this weekend.
Thanks.
So the living room definitely is the one for me, because it was what you saw when you first walked into the house and went through the most transitions. And the most iconic, lasting memory configuration / design of that theme of that living room was the pink walls with the sponge painting. And the sponge painting was, I think, white, another shade of pink, and then like magenta, perhaps, like a darker.
Yeah, but the base color was like Pepto-Bismol.
Was Pepto-Bismol. Like, it was Taylor, but too much pink.
Don't. When she stood against the wall, you couldn't see her. Oh!
It's gone. It's gone. Company's coming. Push Taylor against the wall.
It's a miracle. Oh, wait, she's just standing against the wall.
I don't know. You're here for this kind of quality anyway. So that's definitely the one. And I feel like in our family, nobody has good memories about that phase of the living room. It was like 16 months of just rage. Like,
no, it was like a psychological thing. You
Yes.
walk into that room and automatically just get so mad.
It was chaos. It was like one of those like 1994 Chevrolet Cavaliers that are painted with pink camouflage. You see it and no one is like, that is awesome. You see that, you want to burn the car. No disrespect to our listeners with the 1996 Chevy Cavalier with the pink camouflage paint. We want to burn it. We want to burn you. Let's just call it a spade a spade.
Call a spade a spade. Cavalier heads. That's the other thing. That's the other one that I say a lot.
So yes, it was the living room, and that pink sponge painting was all the rage. Between Stop. 100%. Truly. 100%.
Did you see me like physically swallow the truly down? I was like, oh. And no, everybody was sponge painting. So like Mom's instincts were there, like the instincts to be like, this is trendy, this is hip. It was the color theory that was wrong.
I think that also speaks to maybe a Porter thing of like, we want to do it, but we're going to do it so differently because it's going to garner so much respect from the sponge painting community that I went this far off of the norm or this far away from the average. I'm going to do it to this level. And it lasted for like 16 months. It was 16 months of rage in that house. Nobody was ever calm. Nobody was ever not angry. It was just slamming cupboards and stomping feet for 16 months. And then finally, I think Mom was like, I think we need to change this. And Dad was like, oh, I'll do it this weekend.
Well, the other thing is our mom has bright red hair. And like also the visuals of like this bright red hair in like a Pepto-Bismol and fuchsia pink room. All the pictures that I have from that era are disaster. Everybody looks horrible in them. We're all just like the wrong cup. We're all just strange shading, and it's just I shred those pictures.
Have you ever seen, I'm on a few of those subreddits where people will post a picture and they're like, could you remove the person in the background? Like they're ruining our proposal photo. Our requests are like, could you remove the living room? Could you keep us, but remove the entire living room so that we look like a normal family? And then you do, and you realize how angry we actually were when the environment changes and we're all just scowling.
I would say it was a rough time in our family history.
Do you have pictures of us in that living room?
I have a picture. I believe it was probably like my 10th or 11th birthday around that time. And so there's pictures of me opening presents in that living room. So yes, I will go find the picture and put it in the show notes, because and then everybody's just going to get instantly angry.
Everyone rage. Like, everyone storm quits.
I hate storm quits. I hate
Crispies.
this.
Hey, the Crispies will know. That has been mentioned now like 3 times. So
that's for you, Crispies.
Go back and find that.
So I was all over the place. Obviously, living room was on my list, but I think probably my most iconic room would be my childhood bedroom that I had from age 10 to age literally 18.
This was my other one. Those were my two.
Okay,
the pink sponge painted living room, or you go ahead.
It was when finally I was allowed to have my own room. I had shared with one of the little boys until I was about 10 or 11. And so me getting my own room was like big deal. And it was the upstairs office was converted into my room. Now, the last time I was at 26 Dry, I was in that room. And I was like, how did I sleep in here? Was I curled up in fetal position the entire time? It's a very small room. But I had mentioned at that age, like someone had said, what's your favorite animal? And kind of off the cuff, I had said, oh, I like cows. And Mom, for my birthday that year, as a surprise, redid my entire room in cow theme. And it was cow theme. Well, first of all, there was sponge painting. That was part of it. It was purple and green sponge painted with like a cow border everywhere, and then everything else was cow. Like the bedspread was cow. Mom and Annie Gail sewed me a little cow to put on the bed. I had a cow piggy bank. That birthday, everything I got for my birthday was cow themed. So I got like cow statues, cow backpacks, cow shirts, like anything that was a cow, they bought out the entire store of it.
There is also that weird 3-foot tall aluminum. What was it? It was painted to be like a giant bottle.
It was a milk can. It was a milk can that we bought from a farm.
Sorry, it was an actual milk can?
Yes, we bought an actual milk can, and then we painted it with cow print. And I think we even put Jacqueline's Dairy on it, which is
really leaning into it. And you're like, get out of my room. I just want to listen to my Collective Soul cassette tape.
And look at all my cows. The funniest thing was my 6th grade teacher at Southwood found out that I had this cow wallpaper somehow, and we found out that she had the same cow wallpaper in her dining room. And she literally came to me one day and was like, my dogs scratched up all of the wallpaper in my dining room. Do your parents have any of the wallpaper left over? And me, an 11-year-old girl, was like, yes, grown woman, please take my wallpaper from my room. And it stayed that way until I moved out of that room. I moved into a bigger room for the last year that I was at home, but it was the cow room for the majority of my adolescence.
And what on brand decision for the family? You just mentioned in passing that this is something that, and then you are that person until you leave the house.
I think it was just okay, so I don't know much about Jacqueline, but I know this one thing. So then every birthday was books and cows forever.
I think even going out of their way to go to Niagara on the Lake to the cows ice cream, right? And so Jacqueline, cows, Jacqueline, there's cows right here. I
had the shirt. It was a cow's shirt from the cow's ice cream. And it was a cow on a motorcycle. And it was mootorcycle.
And on the back, it was and try our New York cheesecake.
And I'm like, and why am I not popular?
Well, your eyes are looking in two different directions. You were wearing bright orange. What are those pants called? Those bright orange mod robes, maybe?
Mod robes, yeah.
Mod robes? That was close enough.
You were pretty close. It was spelled mod robes, but those who know, mod robes.
The mod robes.
You got there. This is the perfect segue into what we're talking about. Strangely enough, it's so funny that you mentioned those pants because I wanted to talk about a place today. Again, we're going back to a place. I'm loving these place episodes. So we've done Wonderland, we've done Exeter.
I'm glad you and me are. I'm glad that me and you are loving these ones. Everyone else is like, okay, skip. The unhinged text.
I want the facts and the facts alone. Well, the facts are one of the places that is like nearest and dearest to my heart in Ajax is actually in Pickering because it's the Pickering Town Center.
Ooh.
Which was our local mall growing up. So we've talked before, like I secretly want to look at everybody's Reddit to see like what's the weirdest subreddit you are a member of. And probably the weirdest one that I'm a member of is just called Dead Malls. And it's people who go take pictures of malls that are like dead or dying, which just don't have people. And I find it fascinating. And I think it's because like mall culture is a big deal to me. Like as a
that's
teenager,
a made up term. You just made up mall culture. You literally just made that up now.
Mall culture, believe it or not, is like a known thing for specifically from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. That was the height, the peak of mall culture. And so we were lucky enough to be part of mall culture through the 90s and the 2000s. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about mall culture and why we think like the mall was such a like kind of like a gathering place for so many of us as kids. The first earliest memory that I could think of is like the mall being part of our lives was, do you remember this when mom was working at a health food store in the mall and she dressed us up. It was Halloween and we were dressed up in costumes to go hand out like flyers and coupons throughout the mall for the health food store. Do you remember who you were dressed up as?
I was dressed up as some like weird, I don't want to say maybe like a ninja of some sort. I remember being adamant that whatever I was dressed up as, that I needed to cover my face because I did not want anybody to see me handing out like discount coupons for like a tub of whey protein. It was like, I will take this. It's I have a black thing that covers my face so that nobody can see me. That's what I'm going with. So I don't know if it was like a ninja or like, it was something that I remember it had like a black like nylon kind of cover for my face and had lights, I think, for eyes, but it was definitely had a face covering.
I remember the lights for eyes. I was Snow White. And so I carried my flyers around in a little basket, which just out there. And we were pretty young, like probably what I would say is too young to just be talking to strangers in a mall, yeah. But they were like, or working for store in the mall. Like we were working for it.
If by working, you mean forced labor and not being compensated. Labor. Yeah. That plus interest in 2024, you owe us
$48. So I wanted to know if you can think about like the Pickering Mall in its heyday when we would be going to it. Like you roll up to the mall, it's a Friday afternoon after school, mom's graciously dropped you off for a determined amount of time, 3 or 4 hours.
No, it wasn't determined because she would forget about you there and you would be there overnight sleeping in the parking lot with a bunch of homeless people.
I do remember
warming your hands over an oil barrel.
Remember there was like that entrance that had the half wall. So I remember always sitting on the half wall waiting for mom to come pick us up. And she kind of was like, you know, I'll get there when I get there. We didn't have cell phones. So it was just payphone, like, Mom, can you get me from the mall? And she'd be like, well, I've got like 17 other things to do and then I'll come get you. So I want you to think about, you've been just dropped off to the mall. Like, what is your perfect mall day?
Definitely going to HMV, right? So you go to HMV to just see what hot cassettes have just dropped, right? So that's definitely one of the first places I'm going. Definitely going to somewhere like Champs Sports to look at some new Jordans or basketball shoes. And then the rest of the time is walking around trying to find cute girls to just look at and then not have the courage to go and talk to because you are deathly afraid of that. But it doesn't stop you from walking around with your buddies being, yeah, look. Let's go into the same store as them.
Just stalk them around.
Yeah, it's basically what I'm explaining to you is stalking. You will go to prison for this. And yeah, so definitely Champ Sports, definitely HMV. We would always end at that entrance/exit that you just explained with the half wall. I think there was a wheelchair ramp, and that's why the half wall was there on the left side. And so we would always end there. And just in front of that half wall was one of those kiosks that sold like Zippos and Ninja Stars and like those like weird, I think it was like Chinese like meditation bearings. They're like two ball bearings.
The balls,
just like, yeah. I was trying to get away from that word, but sure.
Sorry.
They were just rub those balls in your hands.
Jingle, jingle.
And then, yeah, they had these like little bells inside. So, and I remember like I had a buddy that like bought them one time and then also bought like this weird knife that was used for skinning animals. Like it was like an Inuit skinning knife. I don't know. Please don't get angry, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And so we would just always end there, and somebody would end up buying a Zippo, or someone would end up buying a knife or Ninja Star. And we'd go over there and look at like the swords that were too expensive for us to buy, but we would spend the rest of our time there waiting for mom and dad. And one of my friends actually messaged me. I don't know if it was on Facebook or on or in the comments on the Substack on dryordrive.com. And he was like, remember your parents would always forget us at the Pickering Town Center? And then we would play this game going like, there they aren't. We would be like, oh, here they aren't. Or, oh, here they are, is what I'd say if they were here.
I still find that extremely funny. I'm like, that's a good game. I was thinking of like some of my favorite stores from that era. The first store that I can think of isn't actually a store, it's the restaurant. Do you remember the restaurant Gallantries?
No.
So
in the Pickering Town Center?
Yes, you will. You would walk into that entrance and it was like a dark green restaurant that had like green awnings. And Dad and I would go there quite a bit. Sometimes Dad would just take me out as like a little daddy-daughter date, like one-on-one time for being the only girl, and he would take me to Gallantry.
Must be nice. Well, we're at home eating mac and cheese loaf. You're out getting 5-star meals at Gallantry's.
You shouldn't feel as bad because Dad always bought, first of all, it was 2 can dine for $18.99. That was the special. And Dad would always get liver and onions, which is like his number one favorite thing to get at restaurants.
Everywhere.
And
at the drive-thru, was he doing that at the drive-thru last time he was in Utah? Can I get some liver and onions?
And sometimes I think he does it. He doesn't. I don't even think he likes them as much as he says he does. I think he likes the shock value of ordering liver and onions and everybody being like, Dad, gross, no, because I think that's what he would like to do when we would go out to dinner, because I would make such a big deal about him ordering the liver and onions at Gallantry's. And I actually wrote down a list of like my favorite stores and places to go in the Pickering Town Center at that time. Blue Notes was the tip top of fashion for me. Blue Notes. Does Blue Notes even exist anymore?
I have no idea. I'm assuming that the company that owned all of those stores just changed names or made them all into the same store.
Blue Notes only sold like jeans and like really Canadian shirts. Like every shirt in there had some type of like Canadian slogan on it or whatever. And then Spencer's, which we were not supposed to go in, but I went in anyway because we were running free in the Pickering Town Center and nobody could tell us nothing. And then we would always hit up PJ's Pets, which was a massive pet store. Like that was one of like the highlights of going to the mall was PJ Pets, because they would have like puppies and kittens that you could go see and play with through like the plexiglass. They also had really good birds.
Yeah, and the birds were always right at the front to try to get the people in the store. And
then they had that like back area where it was just like lizards and fish. So it was like, you know, low. It was like a really lowbrow sad zoo. And then I also wrote down that store that only sold Beanie Babies, which is very specific to the time, because there was a store where me and my friends would go check every week to be like, what are the new hot Beanie Babies of the week. And that store didn't last very long. And then finally Roots, which I could never actually, I would go into Roots, but I could never afford anything Roots. I was strictly
$89 for a pair of track pants. We are going to Woco.
Or you'd buy like the Roots from the outlet store and wear it like you bought it from the real Roots. It would be like a $15 outlet store. And it's like, yeah, I went to Roots. And then we would always finish ours off at Laura Secord, which is an ice cream place. And it would have that Super Kid ice cream that's blue, yellow, and orange, like fluorescent, bright. It looks like Play-Doh. And so we'd always finish, and Laura Secord always put a little chocolate in the top of your ice cream. And that was like the most luxurious thing ever. So when I was looking at like mall culture specifically, one of the things that I was reading about in mall culture was that it was so prevalent in specifically those decades, because the thing about going to a mall was that it was an easy way to fit in no matter how much money you had to spend. And so if you didn't have money to spend, it didn't matter. You could still go to the mall. You could still wander through the stores with your friends, and you didn't feel any different if you were in different brackets and that kind of thing. So what were your thoughts on that?
Few things. One, so I remember you talked about Blue Notes. So Blue Notes would have been the one where we're like going, we're going to go over here to buy our clothes. But we had a couple of friends that would be able to go into Pantorama.
Pantorama?
Where they sold like legit jean brands, I believe. Right? And they would be like $80 for a pair of jeans, which was, I think, right beside Jean Machine. And so
Jean Machine was great.
So you would go as if you're walking to Pantorama, and then the financial divide happened at the wall somewhere between Pantorama and Jean Machine. So some would go into Jean Machine and one or two people would go into Pantorama to buy their like real legit jeans. And then of course we'd look at the jeans in Jean Machine and we'd be like, let's go to Blue Notes. Or what was the other one?
Jeans are 2 for $50.
But anyways, that's another place I would go when I got to like later teens, to go buy like my super baggy jeans or a striped sweater for the girls. But when you said malls, I had two stories come to mind that are both mall related. I don't know if either one will make it into the final cut, but one is Pickering Town Center related. So when I was in grade 8, we went on like a Friday night to the mall. So very similar to that situation that you painted at the beginning of this conversation. Like, it's Friday night. You've just been dropped off at the mall with 3 of your buddies. And like, what does that look like? So I totally remember this, so we went to an elementary school called Southwood, and we've described their neighborhood in multiple episodes. There's like a little bit more like blue collar and like really kind of like, I don't know, I felt like at that time it was community, right? All the kids walking to and from school. We all knew each other. We knew each other's older brothers and sisters and younger brothers and sisters. And it was like a legit community. On the other side of South Ajax was a school called Lakeside. Lakeside was closer to the lake. Yeah. Anyone listening for this? If you're listening,
I know how I feel about this.
We assumed just because the houses were closer to the lake that like those were where like rich kids went. And at this age, you realize that wasn't the case at all. But you're like, those rich kids. And like we treated it almost like you see in those like movies from that era, like the 90s, early 2000s, of like the private school girls. And so like we wanted to like meet Lakeside girls because we're 14 years old.
Upper crust.
Yeah, upper crust. And so we go to the mall this one like Friday night, and I was with a couple guys from the that I also was on the basketball team with. And I have a story that might trigger in a second. But anyways, we get dropped off at the mall with these basketball buddies. We're going there to look at basketball shoes or whatever. And as we're going through the mall, just being teenagers, we see a group of girls that we know are on the Lakeside girls volleyball team. And we know their nicknames because they all had their nicknames on the back of their Lakeside t-shirts. And so we're calling them by their nicknames. We're like, hey, so-and-so, and hey, so-and-so. And they're like, how do you guys know us? Like, aren't you guys from Southwood? And like, so we got in this conversation with them. And as you would do, you would ask somebody for their phone number, right? So you're like, oh, could I get your phone number so I could call you one time and get your parents by mistake and then ask them to talk to you?
And my whole family's going to listen in at the kitchen table.
As I run away with the cord still connected. But so it came to this situation where there was a group of girls from Lakeside and we wanted to get their phone number. And I wanted to ask for the phone number. There was a girl I was definitely interested in, but I didn't ask for the phone number. It was one of my buddies was like, so could I get your phone number? And she was like, yeah. And she was like, yeah, my friend likes your friend, pointing to me. And I'm like, yes. And I'm like, yes. And we are playing them in a basketball game the following week. And they know that. The girls know that. And they're like, if you guys win the basketball game, we'll give you our phone numbers. And we're like, yeah, here we go. Like, if there wasn't reason enough already for us to beat the rich kids on their home court, we're getting phone numbers.
Is this a Disney Channel original
Disney
movie?
Channel, it really is. So feel free to use this. So remember, I'm 14 years old. And I'm at that stage in my life where my voice is getting a little bit deeper, so I'm feeling a little bit more confident in myself. But sometimes it still tracks a little bit to boy Ryan, and so most of the time it's man Ryan. So we go to this basketball game, and we're neck and neck the entire game. All of the girls that we just met at Pickering Town Center are up on the stage watching us play. And we're fully aware of this and what's at stake here. Phone numbers are on the line. And
at an elementary school basketball game.
Yes. So back and forth all game. They score, we score, they score, we score, they score, we score. And we're getting down to like the wire, right? We are down by like 1 point. And there's a very simple play in basketball that's called an outlet play. The way that this works, the other team has a ball. As soon as they shoot it, regardless, you don't even watch if it goes in or not. One person kind of curls away from the entire crowd and starts running to the other side so that even if they get it in, you can inbound it and throw it down right away and score. Or if they miss, you get the rebound and you pass it down and there's an open person all the way down there. And the way that you would indicate that you're open and that you're running the outlet is that you would yell outlet as loud as you could. They throw it to you, boom, layup, no problem. And so that's what happens. It's like few seconds left. Lakeside has the ball. They're up by 1. They shoot. They miss. I've already curled away from the group and I'm running down the court. Yes, it's exactly like this. I want you. That's how I want everybody to imagine this happening. And we get the rebound. That's my cue. And I go, oh, out. And my voice just cracked like it's never cracked before. The referee is laughing into his whistle. It's like, my buddy who has the rebound, who's supposed to throw it to me, laughs so hard that he loses all power. You know when something's so funny you can't do anything? He goes to throw the ball and it goes like 2 meters because he started laughing. Everybody's dying laughing. The buzzer goes, we lose the game. I clearly don't get the phone number. No one is giving.
Oh, really?
And so we go out and it's like, I do not even want to go in the change room. I'm so embarrassed. Like, it's that age. It's that thing. It's just so embarrassing. And so like, I'm really waiting. And so I go in the change room, I get changed and I'm waiting because I can hear there's still people out there and I just do not want to face a single person out there. And so I wait for the noises, the voices to get a little bit lower. I go out there. Most of the people are gone. I open the door to go in the hallway to walk out and the girls are there and they all go, outlet! And I'm like, just hang my head and walk out the doors and never see them again. Actually, I saw them in high school.
Oh yeah, you definitely would have.
I went to high school with them. Yeah, I know exactly who they are.
They're like, are you?
I'm like, no, I'm not. It happened again. I'm sorry. So anyways, that was all triggered from the Pickering Town Center. We met those girls there. Phone numbers on the line, and I outletted my way into their memories. The second story is, I don't know if you remember this, but in South Ajax, there was a period in time where they started building our very own mall, and it was called the Verona Mall. Do you remember this? Mm-hmm. So they started building this mall, and then like whatever the street rumors and stories are, like the developer just took the money and left. And so for like, I don't know, a decade in South Ajax, we just had this half-built mall with this like construction wall, like those like, you know, plywood, the same type of plywood I would have thrown on you and jumped on.
Yes, it's very familiar to me. Very
familiar. That's probably where we got it. that kind of wall was up like blocking people from going into Verona Mall because it was just a construction site that nobody ever came back to. One of the benefits of being the younger brother to an older brother is you get exposed to more dangerous things earlier in your life. And so I can't remember how it actually went down, but the way I kind of remember it right now is that somebody came over to our house on like a cloudy, cold spring Saturday morning. And they're like, yo, we found dynamite at Verona Mall. And Dan's like, really? Let's go. Ryan, you're coming. Car. Yeah, we're like, let's go. And we were young. Like, I think Dan was probably like, I don't know, 14 or 15 years old. And so we go to Verona Mall. We walk there. We like, work our way through the plywood. We get into Verona Mall and we see that it's all just like spray painted and vandalized, of course, empty beer bottles and BT bottles lying around or whatever. But there's this like case of these, it looks like a test tube almost. It's sealed at both ends. And there was like this glue inside with these little like stones in the glue. Now inside that was another smaller test tube with some white powder in it. I don't know who discovered this, but you could light it and it would legitimately explode. Like,
oh my god!
You could like you break it open, you light it. The glue was flammable. It would sit there and burn, and then as it gets through and warms the white powder, it would actually like explode. Or you could heat it up, throw it, and then it would explode. And so we took cases of this stuff, and we were like selling. We were selling this stuff to others.
So you are admitting to breaking the law. So just want to make sure that
statute of limitations. There is no extradition order between Okinawa and Ajax anyway.
Fair enough.
But what would happen is when you would explode this, like it wasn't actual dynamite. I'm not talking like it's not blowing chunks out of pavement or anything, but when it exploded, it would leave that glue and then the glue would dry like wherever it was, right? As glue does. And so you'd be like walking home from school and you see these little patches of like dried glue with those little stones in them. And you'd be like, oh, this is our doing.
That was
like,
me.
Like one of us was we're seeing like the results of our hard labor, right? All over the town. And sure enough, somebody ratted us out to the cops. And the cops came knocking on doors because people knew who the people were that had those things. So that ended that little stint in the underworld that we lived in for a little bit of dynamite distribution in South Ajax. But for like a decade, Verona Mall just sat there undeveloped and it became a teenager's playground. Somebody put sofas and stuff in there and like it was like, yeah, it was its own. And then they crushed it and they built a bunch of houses there. But those are the two things that were triggered by the thought of malls and Ajax and our childhood.
I think that I thought like Pickering Mall was obviously like peak luxury. Like it was the most beautiful place in the world. There's so many malls around there that were so, like the Oshawa Mall has always been the better mall, but it's like we also couldn't get our parents to drive us to the Oshawa Mall. So we were kind of out of luck. Did you ever go to the West Edmonton Mall?
Yes.
Okay, so
that also wasn't anywhere near us. I want to qualify that
right now
sorry. for the Americans out there being like, yeah, that's Ajax, Edmonton. Okay, now we know where you guys live.
No, I was thinking about when we went to the West Edmonton Mall. Must have been on the same trip because we were out there together, staying with friends' parents, and we stayed in the hotel. And West Edmonton Mall, for people who are unaware, is like I think the second largest mall in the world. It's only
at least at the time,
right? At the time.
No, it was the Mall of the Americas.
Mall of America, yeah.
That was number one. West Edmonton Mall was number two at the time, and now I'm sure Singapore and Dubai and China, and I'm sure that's now number 9.
But it had like a full amusement park. It had a full water park. It had this movie theater, and if you remember, the movie theater had a fire-breathing dragon in it. And
do not remember
that. Then we also stayed a couple of nights at a hotel that's attached to the West Edmonton Mall, and each level is themed pretty heavily. Like there's a one that's like a farm theme, and you sleep in the back of a pickup truck, and like that kind of stuff. And
there was a cow room. Everything was just
cow, which is where I stayed. We stayed on like the Hollywood, because I remember it was like Hollywood totally signs and everything in the room. And anyway, that I was thinking about that because I was like, oh, what was like, how old was I when we were going to the mall all the time? And so I decided to pull out my very famous journals again that I kept journals. And I do need to read you really quickly before we end. two great mall-related entries. First, I saved this. For those of you who can't see, it is an ad in the newspaper for Gallantries, just because I was like, Ryan's going to tell me that Gallantries wasn't real, and it was real. Let's see, two can dine. It says, here you can eat for as little as you can eat at home.
What
a selling point for a restaurant.
What a catchphrase. Going back to my secret obsession of wishing I could be in the room when decisions were made. That's another one. I wish I was there. Like, we need something really catchy. And someone's like, I've got it. Here you can eat for as little as you might be able to eat when you're at home with your family in your kitchen. Print it.
Get it. You got it. So it's just, these journal entries were from the summer of 2000. So that's what we're working with. And they're just very of the time. It said, I went shopping with Erin and her parents and bought a killer pair of yellow vinyl flares. Those are pants.
Oh, sorry. I want you to read that one more time. Killer.
I bought a killer pair of yellow vinyl flares. And a bright red shirt to match, which, Jacqueline, no, those do not match. First of all,
ketchup and
McDonald's
mustard. With the same two colors. Oh my gosh. You have not grown up at all.
And last night, me, Bobby, Sean, Jeff, and Steve, which are just very of the time names too.
They also sound made up. This is very made up.
Yeah, they were my imaginary friends. Me, Bobby, Sean, Jeff, and Steve went shopping at the mall, and I bought a new pair of dark jean flares, a monkey shirt, sunglasses, and the 3 Doors Down CD.
Unfortunately, they didn't have the newest Collective Soul CD.
Sadly, I don't like 3 Doors Down. I don't know why I would have bought that CD. And then my second entry was that I went shopping at a little mall. I don't know why I said a little mall. It was definitely just Pickering Town Center. And bought some shirts. I got one with an elephant on it. It's so cute. And then I got a quarter-length sheer shirt, a pair of green jeans, a pair of beige ones, a cargo skirt, and a yellow shirt that says, and I drew what the shirt says. It has a list with check boxes that says goddess, princess, angel, all of the above, and the all of the above is checked. And dear reader, I wore that shirt.
With your bright yellow flares. You are... How? Why? To any of that?
It's the Porter need to zig when everybody else zags. It's why Mom painted their living room pink. I'm just like, no one's ever going to compare to me because I'm going to do something so out of pocket. I'm going to be 3 steps ahead of them at all times. Yellow flares, yeah.
Everybody will look at me and want to be me.
Those yellow flares. I do feel like a theme in all of these podcasts is how much we as a family sweat. And when I tell you how much you sweat in vinyl...
Oh, you don't say.
Yellow flare pants in the year of our Lord 2000, it was a lot. It was rough.
So just to round out some of the Pickering Town Center stuff, I do have the Wikipedia open to just go through some of the details that I think people are really here for. Like, I know there are people here like...
What's the history of the Pickering Town Center?
Well, I didn't know a few things. Did you know that it was originally called the Sheridan Mall?
I did, but that's because I researched for this podcast.
Well, that is not apparent at all. It doesn't come off like you've researched a single thing, except for looking in your own journal. I feel like this episode was really just an excuse for you to read 2 journal entries.
Okay, just so you know, as I was reading through my journal, because I knew I often wrote things that I bought, but I also did... Which
is also a weird journaling pattern.
Yeah. I know. Justin was like, is that what you thought a journal was? Like just a shopping list? But I also wrote a report at the end of every entry to say how I was feeling about all you boys, my brothers. Like,
what?
Like, number 1, Daniel. And it would be like everything that Daniel did and like a number out of 10 to rank like how we were doing that week.
0, he threatened me with a BB gun again.
It was a lot. I read one where he
put the pellet gun to my head.
He threw my cat outside and tried to get it to run away. And he got a 0 for that week.
tried to get it to run away. I wish I could get a video clip of, like, how do you, which approach do you take? Do you take like, we all hate you? Or do you go, there's freedom out there. There's freedom. You can be whatever you want to be out there in the world. Which approach?
Go, Zoe. Go, Zoe.
And the cat's just climbing at the screen to get back in because it's never seen sunlight. He's doing it
just because, like, he's like, oh, and Jacqueline's gonna come home and she's gonna be so mad when she realizes her cat ran away. Like, okay, diabolical. What the heck is wrong with you? Okay, so round out with your facts that we both know.
Well, I love it. So it's a very light Wikipedia entry. First of all, it's like 5 paragraphs. That's why I wasn't leading with the facts. Because I researched. It means you read the 4 paragraphs. There's literally 4 paragraphs. So I didn't know that this year in 2024, the mall was renamed. The shops at Pickering City Center. Another one that just rolls off the tongue.
Don't like it. Actually, in part of my research, I read about like the person who brought malls to America, the architect that brought actually malls to America. And
did he have a sibling?
Austrian.
Why did we do that? Why did we do
that
like much more interesting topic? You're like, let's talk about the mall that 5 people know about. So,
people are going to love it. Yeah, so no, he came from Austria and he had this dream that he was going to bring the idea of like culture to Americans, right? And so that's why, I know. And that's why malls always have really fancy names like the Galleria or the Forum, or the malls always have really fancy names. And then
is the like Forum a fancy name? Just so I can.
Well, it would have been like a Greek Forum.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, and that's why and that's why you got to do your research, Ryan. And that's why malls often have like pillars, and they're really over the top kind of like luxury, even it's a Blue Notes, but they have fountains in them and they have columns and pillars and stuff like that. It's because they're patterned after this idea that this Austrian man came and was like, I'm going to teach these Americans culture. And we were like, no, thank you. Where's a chicken restaurant?
And can I please get a Hakeem Optical in here?
Hakeem Optical, no.
That's the type of information that you can uncover.
Do you guys have a soft mock?
I also didn't know that the Pickering Town Center was flooded in 2016.
Yep, and I went when I was
and it caused. Hold on, I didn't know that the Pickering Town Center was flooded in 2016, resulting in the closure of the majority of the lower level stores and Santa's Castle.
Heartbreaking. Honestly, I was gutted when Famous Players shut down. That was the movie theater that was attached to the mall, because we got every Christmas, our Auntie Gail would give us a Famous Players gift certificate.
Taped to a bag of Colonel's popcorn.
Colonel's popcorn. When I was home visiting last year, I was like, we've got to go to the mall. Like, I'm like amping it up to the kids. I'm like, you don't even know, like Pickering Town Center is the place to be. And we go there and like 30% of the stores are shut down in it. And it was like, womp womp.
And as you were walking out, Andrew's like, that sucked. And then he said, hey mom, can I buy a Ninja Star? And you said, get in the car.
And they were happy to sell Ninja Stars to 14-year-old boys.
That was the other thing. And I remember being like, guys, they're going to ask us, okay, when you buy a knife, they're going to check. It cannot be longer than the bottom of the palm of your hand to the top of your middle finger. All right, who's got the biggest hands? And we'd like be comparing to see like who could get the biggest knife. They never asked once.
Was that a real rule?
I don't know. It's like the rule, like the teacher doesn't show up for 15 minutes. We can all go home. I feel like it was one of those.
It's just like passed around.
Yeah, I feel like it was. Sure. Yeah. And the guy, they had like grenade lighters. You know what I mean? It looks like a grenade, but you open it up and it's just a lighter. I don't know why we were buying so many lighters, but I remember Zippo's grenade lighters, samurai sword lighters.
It was probably because you were lighting dynamite at an old abandoned mall. Where were our parents? Where were they?
They were running errands and forgetting us at said malls.
All right. Moral of the story.
We went to malls.
Still hits. So we went to malls. I will never call it the shops at Pickering Center ever, or whatever it is called. It is Pickering Town. It's the PTC to me.
Faux life.
Are you ready to do text of the week?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this because we need something to save this episode.
I like this episode. People like it. It's loose.
Well, then, we run a real loose ship. Okay, I'm going to stop that. But yeah, as long as you like it.
And no one died, which is, I think, pretty rare now. I feel like all of our obviously historical episodes, people die because that's what makes them historical.
Look at all of these episodes we talk about from like the 1500s and the 1600s. Like they always end in death. That's because that's how life ends. That's the cycle. People from 500 years ago died.
Okay, so my favorite text of the week was on our family thread. Our Jonathan had a birthday on Friday last week. His birthday is the 11th of October. If you see him 6 weeks from now, and you can definitely tell him happy birthday. Belated. So it was his birthday, and that day Daniel sent us a meme he found, and it just said, "Tomorrow isn't promised. Call your siblings and tell them they're ugly and adopted." And I didn't see it until 2 days later. And then I realized he had sent it on Jonathan's birthday. And I said, "Love that you sent this on Jonathan's birthday." And Dana said, "Oh my gosh, happy belated birthday, Jonathan."
But the thing you're failing to explain is the actual meme. It's a video. And so it's like an empty forest. And then this guy just swings into the frame with his middle finger up. Like,
on Jonathan's birthday.
On Jonathan's birthday from our oldest brother, who is now 44 years old. Like, that's what we got. We haven't heard from him in weeks since his birthday 2 weeks prior when we were like, "Happy birthday, Dan."
We all said happy birthday to Daniel.
No one was sending offensive memes to him on his birthday, but he went out of his way on Jonathan's birthday to send someone that also resembled like a 45-year-old man swinging on his swing, giving the finger to the camera.
Like peak Daniel to send a mean meme on someone's birthday, but actually not remember. It wasn't a joke to be like, just kidding, happy birthday, Jonathan. He actually just forgot it was Jonathan's birthday and happened to send that meme on that day. Love it.
He's scrambling to get the pets back in the house. He's like, "I didn't realize it was a birthday." Maybe I got a little bit of respect. Get in the house. Get in the house.
Okay. Don't worry, I'll be back with some hard-hitting journalism next week.